Okay, so Tappei has posted yet another chapter, and it had to be right as I'm getting off of work. So, I finally got mostly the important parts of Chapter 4, You Are Welcome. Now, a lot of this is pretty much a cooldown chapter. Nothing too crazy has happened yet. However, there are essentially a few things I'd like to go over. First, Subaru talking about locomotive and the idea of having like possibly creating something of a similar thing as like a train per se. He was basically talking to Beatrice on the matter and saying on like, hey, what if we did something that it was like an iron dragon carriage that doesn't need ground dragons? Beatrice was kind of like, this is like absurd, as well as the fact that Patrosh didn't like that at all. It's almost like she felt insulted. But that conversation, sorry, wrong. Anyway, then there was this other conversation. Obviously, Subaru's like, oh, imagine this. Imagine a way to do, like, transportation, and then talked about Abel, which is kind of funny bringing him into the mix. But a spell, an interesting spell, is that they were talking about, like, Al's forbidden ability, like the one they were able to turn on Aldebaran, and then they start talking about Dream Magic Phantom Arts users, which according to this translation I'm using, look, they say shit like this and expect us to not see it as a big red fucking flag. Subaru, every time you do this, like, you guys can't see me like messing with my hair. It's like, dude, you're just giving us a red flag to pay the more attention to. Anyway, so yes, there is like a conversation about that, as well as about the witches cult. How it is like interesting that a lot of the stuff of the current world, like, they don't really talk about the other witches. It just seems like everything they've done has been planted as, no, this was the Witch of Envy's doing and stuff. Like the three great mob beasts, it was in the first like few arcs and the first season, it was stated that, oh, it was Satella, the Witch of Envy, who did it. And hell, it was crazy whenever, like, in the cut content related to a conversation between Betelgeuse and Puck, whenever Echidna was mentioned, like, Betelgeuse kind of loses his mind. But here's the thing. A lot of the things is that the Witches cult seems to be, like, focused on some weird thing that they're trying to hide anything in regards to witches. Because last I recalled, in, like, I believe a side story, it involved Regulus being sent to this city because they were talking about witches that weren't like the Witch of Envy and stuff. And you wipe that city out. So, it's almost like something is up with this whole thing that the witches cult is trying to cover up and grab anything related to the other witches to get rid of it, cover it up. But the question comes down to why? Why is this like the case? What is the end goal? Like, we knew, like, Betelgeuse was trying to revive the Witch of Envy and stuff. But why on earth are they trying to get rid of all of this stuff in relation to, say, the Witch of Greed? Because they're talking about Echidna. And now she was obviously not the one who created the Witches cult. A lot of it comes down to Flugel. We know that Betelgeuse got his Sloth Witch factor in a box by Flugel. So there is, like, a lot of things that, and then obviously talk about again that person stuff and the order. That's neither here nor there to kind of go over, because it's mostly just bringing back a few different things. However, this is an interesting thing of what is the Witches cult's plan? What the hell are they up to? Now, moving on from that, they got to talk to Old Man Rom, all the stuff in relation to him being like the last of his like kind and such. And yeah, Subaru is essentially getting up to speed with a few things. Garfield is obviously kind of having a talk with Reinhard, obviously not ready to do a fight with Reinhard, but a lot of things. Subaru is also being caught up with that Emilia and Felt are friends, which grabs Rem, not Rem, Petra and Meili's attention, which it's been a bit. But one of the things that I should go over this is that Subaru is not getting the full thing about what happened with Crush yet, or the Felor stuff. He's just getting hints that something has happened, a situation that shakes the foundation of the royal selection. That's all he's getting right now. We're gonna, probably next chapter, he's gonna get the thing about Felor and stuff, and Crush probably being out. But here's where we get to the thing. Subaru thanks Reinhard. And obviously, even Subaru is like, you're gonna probably be confused by this. But, thank you. And it's like, dude, I understand Reinhard, like, what? I'm not sure what you're referring to. So he's like super confused. And then he's like, Subaru's like, then just say you're welcome. And it's like, understood, you're welcome. But the way the translation here puts it is that he's saying it in English. Because it's weird how Subaru is like, your pronunciation is amazingly good. I'm going to have to wait for Witch Cult translations to confirm if my translation that I'm using is even saying the right shit. Because I'm a little confused by some of it. But if that's true, well, I can understand the next point where Reinhardt, although like looking like well, he is basically kind of just, you know, talking with a friend and stuff. Subaru's kind of just obviously with Beatrice and doing his own thing and stuff there. However, the end of the chapter says, unaware that the eyes of Reinhard, who had placed his hand on the hilt of the sword at his waist, were watching the back of Subaru preparing to depart with his friends as if assessing him. Subaru is being assessed by Reinhard. Is Reinhard suspecting Subaru? Like, we knew that the Arc 9 confirmed to us that Subaru is worthy of the Dragon Reed sword. So, there is, like, that. But it is kind of crazy that, like, he is being assessed. Like, Reinhard is assessing him. What the hell could that even mean? Because obviously, if he's trying to say, like, suspect, like, what is Subaru up to, kind of like trying to figure out if he's probably lying about something or stuff, like, Subaru does not know the full context of what happened. All he knows is that Reinhardt essentially saved them from being, like, still trapped in the orb. Obviously, Rem was the one that did the deed, but yeah, it's a bit crazy that something like Reinhardt being suspicious as hell is, like, there. So, all I can say to that is I might have to be suspecting everyone. Now, obviously, this was an interesting chapter, but, like I said, the two major things being that Reinhard is suspicious of Subaru for some reason. He is assessing him. Like, it doesn't... I don't even remember in Arc 5, like, him doing that with Subaru. We knew that when they first met, he did at the, like, his hand and his, like, sword hilt and stuff. But I don't remember him, like, actively being suspicious of Subaru. So I am very uncertain on how to approach Reinhardt's thoughts, because we know that he's seeing things that we have yet to comprehend. So until we get his POV, he's kind of a mystery. Now, this is suspicious because I'm starting to think that that line, the Reinhardt and Subaru line from the Emilia trial, might actually happen this arc. But the next thing important is the Witch's Cult. The fact that we're getting that information, that Subaru's starting to pinpoint, like, hey, like, the Witch's Cult is kind of being suspicious. They don't like when other, like, mentions of witches, the other witches and stuff, and it seems to be pinning everything on Satella for some reason. Like, they're trying to clearly get rid of any information about the other witches, as well as the fact that the mention of the ability to mess with people's dreams and memories using, like, the dream magic and stuff, we damn well know that's going to come into play. So I'm starting to suspect Felor might have done something like that to Crush. Or that the church has some kind of crazy-ass ability like that. Forbidden magic. It is insane. It is pretty much a chill, but with two important factors that we must absolutely consider. So, yeah, Tap 8. Yeah, I mean, I was able to kind of catch up on this, luckily. It was like 2 hours of me... Well, 2 hours of shitty driving and then like 30 minutes of reading, and I'm like really thinking on it. So yeah, you know what? It was a pretty good chapter. It gave me a lot to think on.